Alright, picture this. You discover that you've got the power to teleport. No more long flights, no more crowded trains, no more sitting in traffic. You can just snap your fingers and boom, you're instantly anywhere you want. Sounds like a dream come true, right? But there's a catch. You can only teleport to places that have already been ruined by time, decay, and neglect. Want to visit a tropical beach? No. You end up in an abandoned resort, the once white sands now covered in rotting wood and rusted-out lounge chairs. Want to teleport to the Eiffel Tower? You're not going to see a shining Parisian landmark. No, you're stepping into a future where it's falling apart, crumbling from years of disrepair. In this world, the charm of your teleportation power is immediately matched by its tragic limitations. You have all the convenience of teleportation, but only to the forgotten, the broken, and the forsaken. So what does this mean? How would you use such a power if you had it? For starters, it's impossible to ignore the sadness of it all. Every place you visit, no matter how exciting or adventurous it might have been once, is now just a shadow of its former self. There's something haunting about walking into a space where time has had its way. That beautiful cityscape you've seen in pictures? Now just a dilapidated husk of concrete, crumbling under the weight of abandonment. You could find yourself standing in the ruins of a once great civilization, the echoes of what was gone, the laughter and chatter of life long silenced. Every location you go to has its own ghost story, its own tale of neglect and loss. You might walk through old, broken-down amusement parks where the rides no longer work, and the air smells like rust and rot. Or step into abandoned factories, with the smell of mold creeping through the cracks. It's not exactly the glamorous teleportation life you might have dreamed about. But let's take a step back and think about the upside here. Sure, everything you teleport to has been forgotten or left behind, but there's a certain beauty in decay. Sometimes the places that are in the worst shape can also be the most interesting and eerie kind of beauty. Imagine wandering through a forgotten cathedral, its once great architecture now crumbling, vines crawling up the sides, but the light filtering in through shattered stained glass windows, casting a mesmerizing pattern on the floor. There's a poetic melancholy to it, right? And it's not just that. These ruined places, in their odd way, would give you a rare chance to explore parts of history that most people would never see. Ever wanted to know what the world's oldest skyscraper looks like when it's been abandoned for centuries? What about a city swallowed by the ocean, its streets now underwater? With your power, you'd be able to visit places no human has stepped foot in for years, maybe even hundreds of years. It's like being a time traveler without having to leave the present. You could explore forgotten ghost towns, desolate battlefields, or secret places hidden from the world's gaze for centuries. There'd be an endless sense of discovery, except of course your discovery would be made in the most haunting of settings. But here's the big question. How would this power affect you emotionally? Every teleportation trip would be a reminder that nothing lasts forever. It's a deep dive into the idea that everything decays, that nothing stays pristine. It could either make you more appreciative of the present, more grateful for the things that are still intact and thriving, or it could make you feel like everything you love is just one step away from crumbling. Every time you teleport into a new ruined space, you might start to feel like the world is already falling apart. You'd constantly see the worst-case scenario. Beautiful buildings rotting away, once thriving communities abandoned, lush forests turned into wastelands. Over time, that could start to mess with your psyche. You might even start feeling like a ghost yourself, someone out of place in a world that's falling apart. That sense of isolation would be hard to ignore. Sure, you could teleport to any ruined place you can imagine, but what good is it if no one else is there to share the experience with? It's not exactly a power you'd get to show off at parties. It's more like a solitary journey, a walk through the forgotten corners of the earth. And let's talk about the consequences of having a power like this in the first place. You'd have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Sure, you could gain knowledge of things long lost, explore places that no one else ever will, but what happens when you get tired of walking through ruins? What happens when you begin to crave the living, the present, the places that are full of life and hope? This power could easily take a toll on your mental well-being. You'd start to wonder if you're missing out on the beauty of the world that's still alive. Maybe you'd even get desperate to find somewhere still intact, but that would be like trying to escape a loop you're stuck in. Every time you teleport, you're only reminded of the impermanence of everything. Even the things that seem eternal are only a matter of time before they become ruins. And in a weird way, this could also affect the way you relate to the world. If you know that everything will eventually be ruined, that everything decays, would you start to care less about maintaining things? Would you start to neglect your own life, knowing that it's all going to fall apart anyway? Or maybe, just maybe, you become hyper-aware of time, cherishing every single moment before it becomes something of the past. You might begin to live with more urgency, seeing the fragility of the world and wanting to preserve what's beautiful for as long as possible. In the end, teleporting to ruined places could be both a gift and a curse. It's a chance to explore hidden, forgotten parts of the world, places frozen in time, abandoned by everyone except you. But it's also a constant reminder of the passage of time, of how nothing lasts forever, of how everything eventually decays. So, if you could teleport anywhere but only to the ruins, would you still want the power? Or would you prefer to leave those forgotten places for history to keep? Let me know in the comments below. What's a ruined place you'd want to visit? And how would it feel knowing you're the only one there?